My name is Joseph Harris. I am 39 years old, and I graduated from Springfield College. I am married. I am a father of 4, 2 girls, 2 boys. I'm a deputy sheriff. I'm a coach, a mentor, role model. Currently live in Springfield. I grew up in Springfield. My kids attend CABS. I have 2 that are in college. One's at Anna Maria College, and one's attending Holyoke Community College now. Initially, I started right out of high school in '92, but I didn't finish. So I got caught up a little bit and left school, and then kind of hit the streets and did some things that wasn't too good, but I managed to find my way back. And I went to HCC for a little while, Holyoke Community College for a little while, and then I decided to enroll in Springfield College. Initially, coming out of high school, I went to Westfield to play football. And everything is all good. You're going to play football and you think it's going to be fun, and it turned out that you have so much free time on your hands that you get caught up and you put things off and you fall behind. So I fell behind. I didn't end up playing football. My grades lagged off, and I ended up being put on academic probation. So after being put on academic probation, I had to go back, and they wanted me to go to community college. For me, it really wasn't an option because my goal was to play football professionally. But once I realized that that dream wasn't going to happen, it was more or less, why go to school? You know, so I ran the streets for a little while, hung out with a bad crowd, got mixed up in some things that I probably shouldn't have, escaped jail a few times, but it came full circle. You know, eventually you grow up, and that's what happened. I grew up, I ended up growing up. I went to the High School of Commerce in Springfield. In commerce, I did very little to none. I got by pretty much because I was an athlete. I was a pretty good athlete. So I had to do the minimum, and if I did the minimum, I passed, I was able to play. It wasn't until my senior year that I actually took school serious. I made the honor roll for the first time, and then leaving the transition from high school to college, college wasn't something that I really thought about. Not many people in my family graduated from high school. So my goal initially was just to get through high school. But when college became an option, everybody's telling you should go, you should go play football, you should do it, you know. And you know, you got a couple schools coming at you, talking to you about going there. And so you kind of do it based on the strength of everyone else telling you this is what you should do. And it's not necessarily something you want to do. You know, so I can say I wasn't necessarily motivated. And when I got there, it was just a different world. Because there wasn't many in my family that went, you know. It was more of a competitive thing. Most of my family were either high school dropouts. We may have had 3, maybe 4 that graduated from high school. I was the only one of my generation that did graduate from high school. So it was more of my motivation was just to get through high school, find a job maybe. And even that wasn't a thought at the time, but just get through high school. That was my motivation. My best class was English. English, I think I had a B average in English. Probably would have been an A had I not slacked off that final semester of my senior year. History was a favorite subject of mine. That was my favorite subject in school, period. So I did pretty well in that. Math was a struggle. But it wasn't a struggle because I couldn't learn it. It was a struggle because I didn't put enough effort in. My journey to the Sheriff's Department started at Brightside for Children and Families. I was working with kids with special needs. Prior to that, I was just basically running the streets, again, getting in trouble. And then a friend of mine was working there, and it's kind of like, you know, you should try it. So I gave it a shot, and I liked it. So it kind of set me on a career path. And my next goal was to get into the Sheriff's Department, which I did. I ended up getting into the Sheriff's Department. I was a correctional officer for 8 years. got promoted to sergeant, and then ended up getting a job as a deputy sheriff. I guess during that time, you do enough that people see your skills, your leadership skills, the qualities in you, your character, and that is what has gotten me to my role as deputy sheriff now. A lot of the friends that I grew up with and ran the streets with, they ended up locked up. And it was interesting. I can give you a story of me one time walking through the intake process of the sheriff's department, and I see a friend, and he kind of looks over at me stunned like this. He is shocked, and I just wave, and I keep it moving, and I see him outside on the streets, and he came up to me, he's like, "I can't believe you work there." And I'm like, "I get that from everyone." He goes, "Wow." He's like, "I was shocked." He's like, "But I'm proud." You know, but I'm proud. And I can give you another story. In the sheriff's department, we have the units. They're called pods. 77 inmates. A lot of them, again, a lot of guys that come through, I know. I got promoted. So I walk into a pod, and they all stand up and they clap. And a lot of them are my friends. So that's the support that I receive from my friends. Dealing with peer pressure is tough. It wasn't that I didn't have to deal with it. You just have to be stronger than that. I was able to always make my own decisions for myself. That's who I've always been. Mistakes or not, the decision was on me. I wasn't influenced by my friends and what they were doing. Yep, there were times where, you know, you'll get caught up and you'll do some things that, you know what, you shouldn't do. But at the end of the day, it's you. You have to make that decision. And basically, what it boils down to is you have to put something before yourself. That's what it boils down to. For me, it was my kids. I had to put my kids before me because if I didn't, they'd be visiting me where I work. And that's not something that I wanted. You know, a lot of people, a lot of my friends we grew up in broken homes. There's not a father in the house. There's only the mother. Or there's a father, there's no mother. Or you're with a grandmother. That's what happens. So you're already out on a bad start, but you have to find something that's going to motivate you, something that's going to push you to be better than what you grew up in. And I always had that vision when I was a kid. I always, even though you get sidetracked, you just have to have something and be able to put something before you. That's what I tell them, put something before yourself, and then you'll start to see the change. It'll happen automatically. It's important to communicate. To be able to communicate well. It's important to be open. It's important to be able to speak to other people. You know, in life you need people that are, you yourself are going to need help, and in turn you return the favor for some. It's very important to me to get to meet other people. The one thing I've learned that sports transcends everything. Sports, you meet people from all different walks of life. And whether you're the best player or the worst player, you come in contact with someone and you develop friendships and you develop relationships. And those propel you into things that you never expect in your life. And then you end up going from being the guy that was on the street corner to the guy wearing a badge. That's where it ended up for me. And that's why it's important to me that you're able to effectively communicate with people, that you, one, understand that you need people, and two, to be approachable and be open to other ideas from other people. What made me decide to go to college? Well, what made me decide to go back to college? What made me decide to go back to college was, first, it was really just trying to obtain a goal, just trying in my workplace. It was, you know, I went back and I picked at it in a class here, a class there, and then my son went to college. And I said, there's no way he is going to graduate before I do. There's no way. Either we're walking together or I'm going to be first. So that was my motivation for going back. He graduates this year. I graduated 2 years ago. The words I'd say is education is very important. Without education, you can get nowhere in life. Absolutely nowhere. It is the end all. It is the begin all. Take it seriously because it opens up many doors for you. Without it, you'll probably end up being that kid that's on the street or in jail. With it, you'll be very successful. My name is Joseph Harris. Believe and you can succeed. This is me on higher education.